Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about a very important factor in chess, which called patterns. In chess, you usually have two factors when it comes to make a decision. Sometimes you need to calculate some moves ahead. You visualize the position and then you estimate the position, then this is how you find the right move. But sometimes it's about pattern recognition. It means you already know some patterns and you use those patterns that you already studied, and then you can use it in your games. At the beginning it can be a little bit trickier because you need to remember, but after some time it just automatic and it's just in your kind of subconscious mind, so you can just play it. Even if you're playing a blitz game, bullet game, when you are short in time, you can still find the right plan according to the patterns that you already know. Okay, so today I want to show you a pattern which was played by no other than Bobby Fischer, an American I would say talent, and he has a very nice story. I don't know if you know about his life and how he became the world champion and what happened after that. But anyway, we don't want to talk about that today. So I'm going to show you this game, which is between Bobby Fischer and Paul Benko. This is a very famous game. Probably, I would say, most of the top players and grandmasters have seen this game, so I want you to see this game as well to learn the pattern that is really important, especially when you are attacking the king. Okay, so in this game, Fischer started with e4, his opponent played g6, d4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6, f4. So this is Austrian variation in pig defense, if I'm not mistaken. And after f4, black played knight f6, knight f3, castle, bishop d3. It's really interesting because this exact position is still one of the main lines nowadays. So this game was played 1963, so like 60 years ago, exactly 60 years ago, but this is still the main line, and it's really interesting actually. So here black played bishop g4, which computer shows a bad move, but actually this move is okay because black wants to exchange this knight and then put pressure on this pawn. So this is an okay move. I mean, it's not the worst move in this position. So bishop g4, white played h3, bishop takes f3, queen takes f3. So now white has bishop pair. As you know, bishop pair is an advantage in chess. So knight c6, attacking the pawn, and white played bishop e3. The bishop is protecting. e5 was played, which is typical in this position. D takes e5, d takes e5, and white pushed the pawn to f5. So black took on f5. A better move here for black was to play knight d4, because you usually don't want to weaken your king side. And after knight d4, black is attacking the queen on f3, and if the bishop takes on d4, black can take, and now this knight has to move. So for example, let's say if white plays knight e2, then black can play queen e7 followed by rook e8, and black wants to put pressure on e4. But in the game, black played g takes f5, which was not the best move in this position. So white played queen takes f5, knight d4, queen f2, white is not forced to take the knight, so the bishop on e3 is a really strong bishop. We want to keep the bishop here. So knight e8, short castle, knight d6. White played queen g3 here. The idea is to attack the king, and as you can see, the king is exposed, so it's better to move the queen to g3 against the king. Black played king h8 to unpin the bishop, queen g4, d6, and queen h5. So white wanted to put pressure on the pawn h7, and if you look at this position, the queen couldn't move to h4 because of the queen. That's why Fischer chose this route for the queen. So queen h5, black played queen e8, which is a mistake. So here a better move is to play knight e6. And now black is more or less okay, even though white is slightly better, but black is not losing. But after queen e8, white has a very nice tactical move. So I want you guys to pause this video and find the best move for white. Or it's better to say find the right plan for white, because this is not just a single move. You need to find a plan to attack the king. So here the goal is to checkmate the king. How can white attack the king? So if you found this move, bishop takes d4, then congratulations. Yes, we want to take that knight. But you might ask, why should I exchange my beautiful bishop on e3, my strong bishop on e3, with this knight? And the answer is, you want to open up the bishop against the weakness. The pawn on h7 is a weakness, so you want to open up the bishop. But this is not the only move that you need to find, because later on you need to find even more challenging move. So bishop takes d4, black has to take, he takes d4, and here Bobby Fischer played a brilliant move. I want you guys to pause the video for the second time and guess the right move. Here we want to push the pawn, right? But the problem with this move is that black has a defense. Black can push the pawn to f5. This is a great move. This blocks the bishop. And notice here we cannot do en passant, because if we take en passant, the queen is hanging on h5, right? And black can simply take our queen. We take the bishop, no problem. Black is just winning. So after f5, if white moves the queen, then as you know, we cannot do en passant on the next move. So black is totally fine in this position. Black can take this knight, or even black can take this pawn. So black is fine here. So that's why e5 immediately doesn't work, because of f5. And I think this was the line that Paul Benko was calculating during the game, and he missed this beautiful move which was played by Bobby Fischer. He moved the rook to f6. A brilliant move. What's the idea? Why do we need to sacrifice our rook? Because the idea is to block the pawn on f7. And this is a typical pattern in chess. So I want you guys to remember this move. Rook f6. Why? Because we need to sacrifice something to stop this pawn. This is the only defense for black. And if we can stop it, then white is just winning. So rook f6, and here black played king g8. But if the bishop takes on f6, now we can push the pawn, and look at this beautiful checkmate. The checkmate is coming. If the knight moves here, we can simply take, and whatever black does doesn't matter, because we can checkmate the king in just one move. So let's go back. Here in this position, after rook f6, black played king g8. Why king g8? Because here black wants to avoid kind of rook h6 with check. So here white pushed a pawn and then black played h6. But imagine if the king was on h8, then white could take the pawn with check. So I can actually show it to you guys. So for example, let's say if black plays a random move, right? Just to illustrate this checkmate. So you push the pawn, you want to take here. He pushes the pawn to protect, and now you take with check. Bishop takes, you take with check, king goes to g8, and checkmate, right? Okay, you might ask, what if he doesn't take our rook? He goes here. Here, after king g8, what can white do? Here is another thematic idea for you guys. This is another typical move. So you play rook h8 check. The bishop has to take, the king can't take because of the queen. The bishop takes, and then you clear the square for your queen, and you can checkmate the king again, even though black is up by 4 points, but it can't help him. So this is absolutely a checkmate. Okay, so let's go back. So after rook f6, black played king g8, white played e5, h6, and here white played knight e2. Okay, you might ask, why not rook takes h6? Because here the king is not in check, and black can play f5, and black can, you know, kind of exchange the queens. And even though in this position white is still better, but the move that Bobby Fischer played in the game is much better. So knight e2, a great move. He saves the knight, and here white's idea is to take the knight, obviously. And at this point, Paul Benko just resigned. But let's analyze a couple of lines here. Let's say if the knight goes to b5, how can white continue the game? Here, since the knight has left the square on f5, we can play queen f5, and the idea is to play queen h5, and this checkmate cannot be stopped. So if the knight doesn't move, what else black can do? For example, let's say if he takes the rook, we can take the pawn. Again, we want to checkmate the king, and notice that black cannot move the rook to clear that square for the king because he blocked the rook with the queen earlier. And if black doesn't take the rook, so let's say if black pushes the pawn to c5 to protect the pawn, here we can either take this knight, or even we can play rook h6. Again, the idea is to checkmate if the bishop takes, queen takes, and if the knight moves somewhere, we can just check, check, and checkmate. So this was a very nice game. Actually, in this game you saw a lot of typical ideas, and I want you guys to remember these ideas and plans, and maybe you can take a note or just watch this video one more time, because you need to practice until you know you get the idea in your subconscious mind, so you can just play it automatically in your games and enjoy these techniques basically. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like such content and you know, such educational videos, please let me know in comment section and tell me if you have ever played such moves in your games. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. So I'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, take care.